Okay, you're at the White House Easter egg roll. Sunny spring day, kids running around with little baskets. Everything's wholesome and precious and very, very American. And then there's this guy, suit slightly disheveled, eyes a little glazed. And he walks up to a reporter and points dramatically at his 7 children lined up behind him like little soldiers and announces, "This is why we're fighting the fake news media." And his kids' faces said what Pete Hegseth wasn't saying. So let's watch this.
Mr. Secretary, happy Easter egg roll, sir.
Hey, we're happy to be here at the Easter egg roll, I'll tell you that. Here with the family, beautiful day. And President Trump is changing the country. And he's creating opportunities for families all across America to better their lives. And that's what Make America Great Again is all about.
What do you want to say, sir, about the signal chat controversy?
You know, what a big surprise that a few leakers get fired and suddenly a bunch of hit pieces come out from the same media that peddled the Russia hoax. Won't give back their Pulitzers. They got Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. Pulitzers for a bunch of lies. And on hoaxes, time and time and time again. And as they peddle those lies, no one ever calls them on it. See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter. So I'm happy to be here at the Easter egg roll with my dad and my kids, because, you know, this is what we're doing it for. These kids right here. This is why we're fighting the fake news media. This is why we're fighting slash and burn Democrats. This is why we're fighting hoaxsters. This group, this group right here, full of hoaxsters that peddle anonymous sources from leakers with axes to grind, and then you put it all together as if it's some news story. And when we know exactly what it is. So I'm really proud of what we're doing for the president, fighting hard across the board, and I'm going to go roll some Easter eggs with my kids. Thank you very much. Have spoken to the president, and we are going to continue fighting.
Okay, so before we get started, I am certified in behavior profiling, but I'm also still learning, so feel free to correct anything you see differently. And if you want to go more in depth in behavior profiling, I highly recommend the Behavior Panel or Chase Hughes. They're great. Okay, so we're going to go frame by frame here, because this is a masterclass in what happens when children just can't hide the truth their father refuses to tell. So let's start on the right. This is a little guy. He walks up with his arms crossed already, and that could be self-soothing. It could be a protective gesture, or he could be just cold. But he does seem to be scanning, and he's looking around nervously. And when he does smile, it's the kind of smile that you plaster on when you're trying to look like you're okay, and you're absolutely not okay. His whole body is saying one thing to me, which is, I want out of here. For some reason, he opted into the cameras. I don't know if the kids opted into the cameras because someone told him to get up there. I mean, the one taller kid, the one in the middle that I'm about to talk about, he looked kind of curious. But right away, when his dad walked up and he saw everything that was about to happen, he already had a look on his face like I'm not buying into this. I don't know why. Who knows what the kids are hearing at home when they're at home. So their faces are saying something very different here. So now this middle kid, the tall kid, he's got the big bushy brown hair. This child is doing the most honest reporting at this entire Easter egg roll. He's looking at his dad like, are you serious right now? He's glancing around at everybody nearby with this quiet disbelief, checking to see if anyone else is clocking what he's clocking. And then Pete points right at him and says, these kids right here, this is why we're fighting. And his son's head kind of drops first down, and then he does this kind of nervous chuckle comes out, not like a happy laugh, the laugh that escapes your body when something is so deeply uncomfortable you don't know what else to do with your body. And then he takes both hands and runs them through his hair in a grabbing, stressful way. And he covers his whole face. And that looks to me like, I can't believe this is my life right now. I don't know how old this kid is. To have this thought at this age is kind of really interesting to see. And then he nervously doesn't know what to do with his hands. So he finds his pockets and he looks back at his dad with an expression that looks like quiet contempt. He's just and that kid is filing this moment away right now. He's literally filing this moment away. He might even write a book about it one day. I mean, he's really checking this out. And now just over Pete's shoulder, this kid on the left, he's not even trying to hide it. He looks like he walked past something that smells absolutely terrible and he can't figure out where the smell's coming from, although he's looking at where the smell's coming from. Spoiler alert, it's the speech. His arms eventually closed off a little bit. He's kind of just done. He looks like he's done here. And then the little girl in the back, visibly uncomfortable by the end, but it could be the cameras for her, maybe. But the boys aren't reacting to the cameras. They're reacting to their dad. And she's picking up every bit of that energy the way kids do. And here's what I need you to know about body language. And this is my opinion, my free speech to say it. You cannot coach a child's authentic reaction out of them in real time. These kids were not performing discomfort. They were experiencing it. Now, before we talk about the hypocrisy, and we are going to talk about it, I want to give you the full picture of Pete Hegseth. Because the Easter egg roll, that's just the highlight reel. Let's go back before Fox News. Before the Pentagon, back when Pete Hegseth was running not one, but two veterans charities. For the troops, for the warriors, thank you all for your service, for the guys he said he'd never stop fighting for. And the first one, Vets for Freedom, he ran it into the ground so completely that at one point the organization had less than $1,000 in the bank and over $435,000 in unpaid bills. Donors were openly worried that their money was being misappropriated. And the second one, Concerned Veterans for America, produced a 7-page whistleblower report, 7 pages from multiple employees, detailing what it was actually like to work for Pete Hegseth. And it is something. According to the New Yorker, who obtained the report, staff described having to physically remove Hegseth from events, carrying him out because he was so drunk he could not walk. And in some cases, he passed out entirely. One contributor to the report told the New Yorker simply, "I've seen him drunk so many times." At a Christmas party at the Grand Hyatt in Washington in December 2014, a work event, very public, Hegseth showed up noticeably intoxicated. The organization had a no drinking policy at work events, and he was the president of that organization. Always rules for thee, but not for me. At a Fox News St. Patrick's Day segment after the show wrapped around 10 in the morning, Hegseth reportedly drank every single beer left sitting on the display table. Flat, lukewarm, everyone. Colleagues described it as jarring. At a colleague's wedding in 2017, Hegseth got so drunk he was struggling to remain standing in the men's restroom. Guests had to track down a network producer to get him a ride home so he could make his 6 a.m. broadcast the next morning. And then there's Louisiana, where witnesses described a visibly drunk Hegseth attempting to climb on stage with topless dancers at a strip club. Again, very public, yo. But the one that made my jaw actually dropped happened in, oh my gosh, Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. I'm probably saying that wrong. May 29th, 2015. Pete Hegseth is on official work trip, the organization's Defend Freedom Tour, and he closes down a hotel bar while representing a veterans organization and begins chanting repeatedly. Now, I'm not going to repeat the exact chant because I would never allow these words to leave my mouth, but he was calling to unalive all Muslims. Freaking terrible. This is our Secretary of Defense? A staffer wrote that his behavior was despicable and had embarrassed the entire organization. That same staffer described another incident where Hegseth passed out in the back of a party bus and then urinated in front of the hotel where his entire team was staying. This is the man in charge of the United States military right now. I mean, how can anyone take this seriously? And when it came to the women who worked for him, the whistleblower report claimed that Hegseth divided his female staff into 2 categories, the party girls and the not party girls. The unnamed whistleblower wrote, and I'm going to let this land, fear of reprisal looms over every woman associated with the organization. He was eventually pushed out of charities, quietly, officially described as mutual, and 3 sources told the New Yorker the truth. He was forced out. And while all of this was happening, the drinking, the charities collapsing, the divorce from wife number 1 after he got a coworker pregnant, his mother sat down and wrote him an email. His own mother, Penelope Hegseth. The woman who raised him, who knows him better than any reporter, any senator, any Fox News producer ever could. She wrote, "You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth. I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that, but it is the sad truth." She wrote that about his then wife, Samantha, who filed for divorce after Pete got that coworker pregnant, and said, "Sam is a good mother and a good person under the circumstances that you created. For you to try to label her as unstable for your own advantage is despicable and abusive. Is there any sense of decency left in you?" She did not ask for or deserve any of what has come to her by your hand. And then she added, neither did Meredith. That's wife number 1 for those keeping score. And then she closed it. His mother said, we still love you, but we are broken by your behavior and lack of character. Mama said that. And then 6 years later, when her son needed Senate votes and his nomination was on the line, she went on Fox News and called it a mistake. She said she wrote it in haste, said she wrote it out of love, said Pete is a changed man. And maybe he is. People change. That's real, and I mean that. But here's my question, and this is my opinion, my free speech right to have it. If the email was so wrong, so out of context, so meaningless, why did it take a Senate confirmation hearing and a New York Times story to say so? That email sat in someone's inbox for 6 years and only became out of context when her son needed the votes. I kind of believe the mom the first time. So let me bring it all the way back around. This is the man who built his entire brand on faith, on family values, on protecting women, on fighting for the troops, on being the straight talking, God-fearing American first warrior. This is the man who, while running a veterans charity, ran it so deeply into debt that wounded warriors' money may have disappeared into the chaos, who had to be carried out of his own work events, who chanted slurs at a bar while on official business representing veterans, who sorted his female employees by whether or not they'd party with him, who settled an SA allegation with a non-disclosure agreement, who is now on his 3rd marriage after a pattern his own mother called years of abuse, and then stood at the White House Easter egg roll, pointed at his children, and called himself the good guy. In my opinion, something deeply troubling about this man who performs fatherhood as political armor while his own children faces, caught on camera, tell a completely different story. The camera caught it, the kids couldn't hide it, and his mom said it in writing 6 years before anyone was watching. Pete Hegseth stood in front of the White House, his children behind him, and declared war on the fake news media, all pointing fingers while not doing any inner work. But the most devastating thing ever written about Pete Hegseth wasn't written by the New York Times. It was written by the New Yorker. It wasn't an anonymous source with an axe to grind. It was written by the woman who raised him, in her own words, sent to his inbox, copied to his ex-wife, and confirmed, silently, honestly, involuntarily, by the kid in the middle who covered his whole face with both hands and laughed because he didn't know what else to do with his body. That kid knew, mom knew, and now so do we.